So this is part 2 of my astrology and typology connection video series. I don't even know if you'd call it a series, 2-part series. Kicking it off, first slide here is astrology and ego gender. And I added a disclaimer. It is important to note how many placements in their chart a person has in each of these signs. The sun sign alone does not dictate introversion or extroversion, masculine or feminine ego. And I think a lot of astrologers will say this, especially people who get past just the 12 sun signs and start digging into the chart. You will notice that all signs and planets within your chart have an impact in different ways and how they work together. So just not to isolate. So masculine signs, or people who have a collective of these signs, will be more extroverted in nature. So these signs are Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. Feminine signs, if you have a lot of these as well, or in major placements in the chart, are going to be more introverted and introspective in nature. Masculine is considered the active and assertive, and then feminine, more passive and internal. So Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. Kicking off the 12 signs here, starts off with Aries. Aries runs from March 21st to April 19th. It's the symbol of the ram, mantra being I am. It launches off the zodiac, so it's the first sign of spring. Its planet is Mars, and fitting Greek mythology, Aries, god of war, is a good symbol for Aries. I also think Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge, would be fitting too for Aries personality type. Aries modality is cardinal, masculine and positive charge. Somebody with a lot of Aries or Aries in prominent chart positions is going to have more of an impulsivity. There's more impatience, a dynamic personality. They're the pioneers, blazing trails, willpower, lots of willpower with Aries. Since they are a cardinal sign, all the cardinal signs, willpower is a good word to summarize them. I think Aries emotionality would be anger. Not that they don't have other emotions. I did this for each sign, but Aries is a fire sign, and so god of war, there's a lot of inner fuel, fueling the fire, and so anger fits, I think. Choleric temperament, this goes back to what I had mentioned in the first part, the 4 humors. So here's how some people have connected the humors to astrology and to the the personality temperament connected over to astrology. Tarot card being the Emperor. I think the Emperor card is fitting as they lead the zodiac. Aries polarity is going to be Libra. I put a balance of self versus tribe. So independence versus dependency. And they can learn a lot from their opposition, which is Libra, relationships and partnerships. Some notes that I had on Aries as far as my thoughts would be, I think A good archetype for Aries would be the warrior or the fighter. They're ready for battle. Going to Jungian typology, I think Aries would be fitting of thinking over feeling. They are, like I said, self over relationships. I know a lot of INTJ, ENTJ, ESTP, Aries personalities. And this goes for women or men. So you got two flavors. The sensory perceiver is going to fit some of these terms of impulsivity, impatience, pioneering, and willpower. It really does fit that type of Aries. But then you also get some Aries that are the battle tactics and strategy. Aries, god of war. I think that both would be fair to apply to Aries. So that again would be sensory perceiving, and then NTJs. Oh, and an interesting note that I've observed is people with Venus and Aries, at least the typing of the celebrities on the internet. So they may not be INFJs. I have noticed that quite a bit of celebrity INFJs on the internet have Venus in Aries. And I think this makes a lot of sense because, so if one fashion of Aries is this ESTP personality, that's going to be what the INFJ is looking for, or theorized to be looking for in love. A Venus position in Aries would mean you're looking for that hot, blazing, dramatic love, so that would be fitting. Two celebrities I can think of off the top of my head is Michelle Pfeiffer and Rooney Mara. So it's just if they actually are that type. And then it was a couple others as well. So not like I'm just going off of two people. So next is Taurus, and Taurus dates April 20th to May 20th. Mantra I have, Taurus is the symbol, the bull. Taurus is second sign of spring, and planet Venus. And Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, seems very appropriate for Taurus with the Venusian planet. I also I think Dionysus, god of wine, and Demeter, goddess of agriculture, would fit for Taurus too, because Taurus is very sensual, and also, as I put below, the five senses and material goods. So modality is fixed. Taurus is a feminine and thus a negative charge. So a very internal personality here. Sensuality, the five senses, pragmatism, acquisition of material goods. I put as words to describe the Taurus personality. I think their emotionality is stable or explosive. And if anybody has known Taurus, I've been surrounded by a lot of Taurus people throughout my life, and a lot of Taurus moons, which is really interesting. But if you have a lot of Taurus predominant in your chart, you'll notice this. It's like a punchiness that comes at you. I guess it's the bull. So Taurus is the bull. Makes sense. The bull don't scare the bull. Come out, charge at you. It's not fun when that happens, but I think normally, like I put stable, they're like a very stable, dependable, neutral most of the time. And then melancholic for the temperament, which was all the earth signs had melancholic. Taurus is polarity is Scorpio, and thus I put at the bottom, Taurus need a balance of indulgence and sacrifice, because Taurus can look to Scorpio for transformation, understanding death, and shedding of all that is human, like our human self. They may have to believe in something higher and let go of some of the material items. Obtaining and acquiring wealth and things is very strong in people with the heavy Taurus energy. So here you might even have a hoarder, I presume, because they're just not going to want to let go of their things and don't touch their things either. Taurus is the archetype, the builder or the creator, and it makes sense with the acquisition of goods. And they're like a practical and slowly persistent sign. So they're the ones who are going to know to make and create a solid foundation and build upon it. And then I also put that they're most likely to be sensory judgers or sensory perceivers. And I put sensory perceivers because I do think that there are different types. There are different personalities per each sign, and I do think you're going to get a little bit of a different flavor for each sign. And I don't think it's limited either to those two. I think it could be any astrological position, can be any, you can have all 16 types in all 12 zodiac signs. However, I do think that there are trends. And that's what I'm trying to point out, is the pattern. I just realized I didn't mention that. Sensory judging because they need their stable foundation and it's pragmatic and they're focused on the stability and structure. And then sensory perceivers would be that indulgence in the sensory, as well as there you would have like really fine-tuned aesthetics. And I think that's where you could have maybe more of an artistic and like raw creativity would be with Taurus. Gemini. Gemini is May 22nd to June 20th. Mantra, I think. Their symbol is the twins. They have a dual nature. Third, last sign of spring. So they're ending spring. Planet is Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of communication, thought, the student, so education and learning. I think Hermes, the winged messenger, is a good fit for the god to represent. Gemini is a messenger to the underworld. Modality is mutable. So again, very changeable sign. Masculine and positive charge. So someone with your typical Gemini is going to be an extrovert. Good example, Russell Brand. Communication, intelligence, wit, networking, acquiring info. I think their emotionality is anxious or restless. And I've noticed that actually as a characteristic of both Gemini and Virgos in my life is I think because of the mercurial nature, they're very worrisome and fretting. There's a lot of mental activity going on. Their humor temperament is sanguine. So that's the air sign. And polarity is Sagittarius. Tarot card, the Lovers. And looking to Sagittarius to find a balance between fact and belief is what I put. What I mean by this is Gemini is more rooted to gathering information in the tangible world, and Sagittarius is more big picture oriented and is still exploring. They're very similar, but Sagittarius is exploring in the spiritual and more philosophical realm, whereas Gemini is gathering info and data within tangible reality. So I put Gemini as adaptable and curious. I think the archetype would be the jester or the trickster often. They are also the student or the academic because of the Mercury I talked about. I think the tarot card also fits, as Gemini is very fluid, extroverted, and informing and conversing with others. I mean, essentially you need to be extroverting to obtain information. And so these people who are going to want to gather from a variety and lots of different sources, the sources outside of themselves. So for typology, I could see Gemini's being introverted thinking, depending on the flavor. I also know extroverted sensing is probably one of the most prominent for people with Gemini. ISPs or ESPs. I know and love a lot of Gemini moons, and I think that a lot of Gemini moons, the connection I have noticed is they're all extroverted, perceiving temperaments. So that's interesting to know. I guess one last note I would add is I have observed that with Geminis, there'll be a very techie flavor of Gemini. So, computer data kind of nerd. And then there's also kind of your social butterfly Gemini, which is going to be networking in the social realm and flits about. And then also I think there's the artist Gemini, so the crafters. And since Gemini rules the hands, I believe that makes sense that they would be working and really good with their hands. Cancer dates are June 21st through July 22nd. Mantra is I feel. Symbol, the crab. It's the first sign of summer. Cancer's planet is the moon. I think Hestia, goddess of the hearth, which is the home, and Artemis, goddess of the moon, are fitting for Cancer. Modality is cardinal. They are feminine and negative charge. Cancer features are home, family, tradition, domestic, maternal, and intuition is what I had put as words to describe them. I think their emotionality is the nurturer. So they are a water temperament. The humor will be phlegmatic. Cancer's polarity is Capricorn, which I will go into further with the archetype of Cancer and how that shows up. Tarot card for Cancer is the Chariot. And I think the Chariot makes sense for Cancer as it represents the safe space. Cancer can take in their loved ones or just shield themselves from the world. Cancers want to save and protect their loved ones within a nurturing home. these people can find solace with them. So I need a balance of protection and vulnerability for Cancer. Cancers do need a balance of being so scared and cautious, putting up their guard, and being able to be vulnerable. So Cancer is the archetype of the mother. People with a lot of Cancer influence in their chart will be very maternal in nature. And that's why they're called the feminine side again. It's that internal focus. So you're going to have an internally focused person who is building a home, trying to provide for their family. It's going to be this archetype caretaker. They're going to be providing for the home, which is different from their opposite Capricorn. Capricorn is more the father archetype. And so the father archetype is providing and bringing home the assets, but Cancer is the one preserving the home that Capricorn is coming, or the father is coming home to. And this is old traditional values, but Cancer, the mother, Capricorn, the paternal father fit here. So for typology, I put it is Cancers are very group and people oriented, and this caretaking nature of theirs, I think, fits with extroverted feeling. And then as well on the opposite side is introverted thinking, and so there's this justice and group mentality that the Cancer will have. They want to protect and provide for their loved ones. So I think that fits as far as cognitive functions. I could see this predominantly fitting ISFJ, possibly ESFJ, although I do think the more of the Cancer that's going to be internalized. So ISFJ, and then also INFJ could be fitting here as well, justice for the group. And both IFJs are gonna have that fear of vulnerability. I think it was Personality Hacker that talked about IJs having a fear. Their biggest fear is vulnerability. Next up is Leo. Leo is July 23rd through August 22nd. Leo's mantra is I will. Leo is a symbol, the lion. Second sign of summer. Planet is the sun. Everything orbits around Leo. I think the goddess Queen Hera and Apollo, god of the sun, work for Leo. Leo's modality is fixed, masculine, and positive charge. So externalized persona here. You know, the leader, entertainment, the entertainer, drama, creativity, youth, pride are all words I use to describe Leo. I think their emotionality is passionate. I know a lot of Leos, and I really love this about them. Anytime you're in the presence of someone with strong Leo fix in their chart, you can just tell immediately. They radiate. And it can radiate negative emotion too, but they're always radiating something. Their temperament's choleric, so it's a fire sign, hot and dry. Polarity is Aquarius, and what Leo can learn from Aquarius is a balance of selfishness and altruism, because Aquarius is more big picture oriented typically, and is looking to unify the collective group, the collective whole. So they provide a balance to each other. as well as opposition. Tarot card is Strength. So some notes I wrote on Leo. They're the lion, the king of the pack. They are the archetype of the ruler, or like the king. You have this pivotal power position. Also, they could be the role of the entertainer, because Leos rule the house of the fifth house, which is drama, the creative and youth entertainment. So that as well. Type-wise, I think a lot of intuitive judgers and sensory perceivers would be found with people who have a lot of Leo enhanced in their chart. So that's a introverted intuition and extroverted sensing axis. Virgo is August 23rd through September 22nd. Mantra, I analyze. Symbol is the Virgin. They are the third and last sign of summer. Planet, Mercury. I put Demeter, the goddess of